afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be looking at Inside Star Citizen. It came out yesterday. I'm going to try and do these videos when they come out, which is on Thursdays. But yesterday's video, I already recorded it, and I didn't want to mess up the timeline. And I think it was kind of an important topic. We looked into the Star Citizen Reddit, which, as you guys know, has, been an absolute hot, fiery mess for the last couple days. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But essentially, people were upset, and rightfully so, from what I learned over the course of me watching that video and seeing the timelines from like 3.0, 3.2, and all of the things that were not necessarily promised, but being told to the community that were being worked on. But yeah, essentially what people were upset for is that the lack of new things coming out, things that were taken away from the timeline, and then we were given a coffee shop, and then also them being like, hey, the community is upset with us that we're not delivering things that we said we're working on, so instead we're just going to take it away and we're not going to show you what we're working on. Essentially kind of being like, well, you guys are taking us too literally, so we're just not going to tell you anymore. So that upset a few people, and I think that was rightfully so. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to be clear, I'm not upset with the devs. I'm not upset. I don't want people getting upset with the developers. Something that someone said in the comments of that video was there's so many different teams of developers, and they're all working on their own thing, and I totally understand that. And it's, for me, hopefully the point that I made in that video was, I honestly think it's more the higher ups. I think there's something going on up higher that's something they need to, just take a step back and look at it and be like, okay, let's call a team meeting and let's have a little look at what's going on. What can we work on? What can we not work on? I think that's what's important. But let me read, there's a comment here that I wanted to read from the video from yesterday. So that, they will keep doing this at least until Squadron 42 releases, which won't be for another while. The main issue most of us take with this is that they betrayed us for months on how great it is to do scattered development and to plan 6 months in advance, yet years later, we still don't know what will be here within the month of release. Not saying everything has to be there, but don't mention a timeline on features you won't commit to. If it doesn't make it to the patch committed, then into a 0.x version or something. Lack of transparency is already an issue, and the lack of clear goals make the project nothing more than a taped raft. I've backed the game since 2013. This goes in waves, but I can tell you for sure they're struggling significantly with something. Probably server meshing, but it could be something worse. We've had the same issue, or same kind of delays and issues pre-alpha 2.0, pre-alpha 3.0, and pre-OCS. Basically, they cannot move on without a pillar of tech that they refuse to keep us constantly updated on. That will continue because that's their corporate culture. When the next major tech will be out, people will be pleased for another 2 years with tons of new features like many planets and stuff, and then there'll be more issues. Yeah, I think my main issue with the whole, we're just not going to show you what we're doing anymore because people take it too literally. I think my main issue with that is they do use it as a marketing tool. Whether you think that or not, if you look at Inside Star Citizen, for example, a lot of the times they, show you stuff they're working on and they get you excited about things. And I'm sure I haven't watched the Inside Star Citizens from before I started playing, but there's a lot of things like, this is what we're working on. This should be out, in X amount of time. And then it gets pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. I think it would just be nice to know why. I don't think that's too much to ask. Like I said yesterday's video, the backers are basically like investors, right? They're putting their money into this game to fund it, and we just want to know what they're working on. What are they doing with that money? So to take that away and be like, we're just not going to show you what we're working on because you guys take it too literally, I think that's kind of messed up. And maybe I'm looking at this from the wrong side of things, but I feel like if you're going to use Inside Star Citizen and things like that and patch notes to be like, this is what's coming, this is what we're working on, this should be here by this time, and then be like, no, we're not, that's cancelled because of it needs more development. I think it would be nice to just be transparent about that and just be like, this is why we've pulled it back. This is the issues we've came upon. And this is why it's taken longer than expected. I'm not that familiar with development of games. I don't know how hard things are. I'm sure it's incredibly difficult. I know for a fact I couldn't do it. So it would be interesting to me to see what these hurdles are, to see what these things they have to jump over, see the loops they have to go through, see what it is they're working on. I think looking at the development of this game and for them to show us why things aren't working would be cool. And there may be a video out there where they do that. I don't know, that I just haven't seen. So, you know, that's what I think. I think just being a little bit more transparent and saying why things get pushed back and stuff like that. And, you know, but maybe this is things they don't want us to know because it may scare people, right? Their backers. And something that I saw on Twitter, I think it was actually Icy. You guys remember Icy? He's always been very vocal about, you know, holding them accountable for things, right? Even when he used to be a big part of this community in the Discord, you know, he was always very vocal about it. And I always said it comes from a place of passion, which I do still agree with. But he had mentioned something that he took a quote from them saying that the reason they've stopped doing some stuff is because to potentially harm future players. And he had mentioned something that it's kind of makes you think, you know, they don't want future people that are going to be bringing in money to look at things and be like, oh, I don't want to be a part of that. So they're trying to protect their image by not showing us things that then they cancel. So, I mean, obviously, if you're a company, you're going to try and protect your image, right? That's just what you do. But I think, and this is something I thought of this morning, it's like if you're people that are self-employed, you know, if you're self-employed, you have to hold yourself accountable. You know, because you can take a day off. I'll just take a day off today. I'll do that next week. You have no one above you that's telling you, like, what to do. And it's a lot of, you know, you got to be strict on yourself. And I feel like CIG, in a way, acts like a self-employed company, which it is. You know, it's CIG. It's, you know, Chris Roberts' own little baby. But I feel like sometimes it's like they have no one up top holding them accountable because it's player-backed. And they can just be like, yeah, we're just not going to do it. And they don't have to give you a reason or an excuse. They just say it's, you know, we're just not going to do it. And I think that's what upsets the community sometimes, because it's like, from what I saw at the end of the Star Citizen Reddit recap I did yesterday, I didn't realize salvage and things like that were being talked about as coming in 3.0. And then it was pushed back, you know, it's 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, and it just kept being pushed back. And for someone that's excited about stuff like that, it can be frustrating. And I think if they were just a bit more transparent about it and said, this is the hurdles we're working on. Because for it to be pushed back for 3 years, like, you've got to know in 3.0 and then 3.2 and 3.3 and 3.4, you've got to know that it's not going to happen. You've got to know that this is a difficult thing you're trying to build. And maybe you can't even build this without something that doesn't exist yet because you're trying to create it. You've got to know that. So I think they were promising things because they wanted new people to come in and they wanted to keep the current people excited and keep them around, when deep down they knew that they weren't going to be able to do it. And now I think they've hit a spot where they're like, people are getting pissed. So we should just stop telling them what we're doing and just give them the stuff as it comes. So I don't know. And I could be out of line here. I don't know. This is just me looking in from what I see. So you've got to respect that opinion too, because not everyone is going to be so deep dive into every single article and every single thing that CIG says. And there's going to be people even more out of the loop than me that see, maybe it's just a video they see, or maybe it's just one article they see. Not everyone, and not everyone needs to deep dive into all this stuff. You know, if you see Inside Star Citizen, like I say, and this is stuff they've been promising and it's still not here 3 years later, I think you're rightfully you're allowed to be upset. But that's just my 2 cents on the situation. You know, I don't think devs or anyone like that deserves any hate. And I don't think, you know, I hope it doesn't go as far as like death threats and things like that, because that's just, you're an absolute idiot if you do stuff like that. But I do think there's something up top, and I said this yesterday and I'll say it again. There's something in upper management that needs fixing. Whether it's they need someone to help them with PR, or they need someone to help manage the projects they're working on. Because like this person said in the comment section, you know, they were getting everyone excited, like super excited about having this scattered development and saying how good it is because they can do all these different things at once. But yet all these different things end up being delayed and pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, which makes you think having it all scattered out doesn't really work. And that, I don't know. I feel like that's something that they need to, like I say, just pull everyone in and let's just have an open conversation about it. Let's listen to everyone here, and let's also listen to the community because they're funding the game. You know, I said this yesterday and someone agreed with me in the comments on it. The thing that I was upset about isn't necessarily the things that they've pushed back, because I am a big believer in, if, you know, it's not working yet, don't release it. If you still need to work on it, work on it. But let us know why. You don't have to go into super detail, but just be like, yeah, you know, whatever it is, it got pushed back, right? The thing I was upset with is things that are currently in the game. It just seem like they're forgotten about. Things that don't work, it's like, okay, here's this for you. Now we're going to move on to the next thing. It's like, no, please, don't move on to the next thing. This is still broken, please. And I know it's alpha, but the way I look at it is you have a live build and you have a PTU build, right? I think, in my opinion, the live build should be the most polished, ironed out version that they have. And even if that's, you know, a lot older than what's in the PTU, as long as it works, give something that we can jump into and just play around with and have fun, and then jump into the PTU and test out and help out with all the bugs that are in the PTU. But I think, you know, you put it into the PTU and leave it there until you've ironed out and made it as good as possible, and then push it into the PTU. The PTU is kind of like, okay, this is just what we have. But it shouldn't be full of bugs, in my opinion. And I know it's still alpha. But the thing that frustrates me is when they have a PTU build, like they had in 3.10, that was just so... I hate it. I stopped playing for a while after that, because they had this build in the PTU, and it was so riddled with just little issues. I mean, you would just die instantly from walking off ships and stuff, and, you know, nothing seemed to work properly. And I was like, they're not going to push it live. And then literally the day I said that, they pushed it live. And I was like, why would you do that? To me, it seems like just keep it in the PTU for longer, until the things are ironed out. I feel like they're just pushing things. Yeah, it's good enough. Let's just push it out and work on the next thing. And that's what frustrates me. And I know a lot of people disagree with that opinion, because it's either way, it's still an alpha game. But having like a star map that is, you know, you got to look at it from a new player's point of view. They're trying to bring in new people. They already have a core amount of people that spend lots of money. They want new people that are going to come in and spend lots of amount of money. So you don't want those people coming into the live build and just the basics, like the star map. Like, they start playing the game for the first time, they try and jump over here, they set the route, and nothing pops up. They can't move. And if they don't have a community or know people that know the game, they're just going to assume that you just can't do that. Oh, this just doesn't work. People like us that's been playing the game for a while, we know how to finagle the thing. We know how to jump to an OM first, or start a jump somewhere and then cancel the jump and then try and reroute it all again, and then it'll finally work. We know that, but for new people, they have no idea. You just try and jump somewhere, it doesn't work. And then you sit there for, you know, 30 minutes, an hour, being like, I just can't do anything, and then they leave. And those are the people you want to keep. And those are the issues. Recently, a few months ago, there was a streamer called Summit1G. Some of you guys may know him, some of you may not. He's a really good streamer. I've liked Summit1G for a long time. He's one of my favorite streamers because he just plays any game that he wants to play, and he's made and ruined, not ruined, but he can make and break a game basically. He has a huge audience, and if he starts playing a game and starts being like, wow, this is sick, the game will blow up. It just does. It's happened multiple times with, you know, GTA. He jumped into like the GTA roleplay, which used to be a kind of small niche on Twitch, and it ends up becoming this massive behemoth, which still is today, even though he doesn't play it as much. He's done it with Sea of Thieves. There's so many games, and he jumped into Star Citizen a couple months ago. And this is a huge deal for someone like Star Citizen, because he's a massive streamer. If he could have jumped into the live build, and it would have at least been like playable for a brand new player, to the point of the things that I just mentioned, like being able to jump around and stuff like that, he probably would have really enjoyed it. But when you come in as a new player and the game is given thousands of eyes on it for the first time, and all they see is all these little bugs that I'm sure could have been fixed, but they decided to spend their energy on something else instead, something new. I think they shot themselves in the foot with that. I think there was a lot of developers. The developers were in his chat when he was playing and trying to help him. Obviously, they knew what they had on their hands here. And I think a lot of them were probably kicking themselves afterwards because he played it for a few days and then left. Because there was too much going on, too many bugs and things. But I think the developers were probably kicking themselves there. Like, why didn't we just fix that little thing? Why didn't we just do this? You know, I remember at my old job, you know, you'd do all this stuff and then you'd have a big corporate visit and then they'd point something out and you'd be like, yeah, that was so simple and easy. Why didn't I just fix that before they came? And then they talk about it like, how didn't you see that? And I'm like, no, I did, but then it looks like you're making excuses. It's kind of that same thing, I feel like, with that opportunity that they had. But what I'm saying is, yeah, I feel like they focus too much on the next big thing without ironing out the creases on the current build of the game. And then overpromising and underdeliver. I said they didn't do that yesterday because they don't promise. They don't have to promise. They don't have to deliver anything. They do overpromise, but they don't have to deliver anything. So they're in a very unique situation where they don't have to be held accountable because they haven't. Why? They're doing their own thing. So anyway, that's my little rant over about that. I said I would talk about it a little bit in this video too before we watch this Inside Star Citizen. I haven't watched it yet. I'm sorry it's a day late of me reacting to this. I know some people say they'll rather wait for me to watch it. So anyway, let's jump into it. I'd love to know what your thoughts and opinions are, as always, in the comment section. So just let me know. And let me know how you feel. I love reading the comments. I read every single comment. I try to respond to as many as I can, but I definitely read every single comment. So let me know in the comment section down below. And also this week, it's Friday, so happy Friday to your faces. Happy weekend. Tomorrow, we'll have another Star Citizen video. I think you guys enjoyed it when I reacted to the Star Citizen funny moments. So I think we'll do that tomorrow, as well as within the same video, someone has mentioned reacting to the glitches, the funny glitches in Star Citizen. There's always fun that comes out of this game, right? Even if it's a bug or a glitch, you can still laugh about it. Don't get me wrong, it's frustrating when it constantly happens. But you can always take a step back and look at it afterwards and be like, yeah, that was kind of funny. So we'll do that tomorrow. And then on Sunday, typically I wouldn't post on a Sunday. Mainly because I've been trying to set myself up for a schedule. Because I want to start streaming on Sundays and probably Tuesdays or Sundays and Fridays. But I thought I may as well just post a video. You know, some people just like to have a video and just, you know, hang out a little bit. So I think we're going to do an unrelated Star Citizen video on Sunday. Just something fun. Just something fun. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but we'll do that on Sunday. So anyway, let's jump into the Inside Star Citizen. Okay, so Inside Star Citizen fuel injection. I hope this... I mean, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Like I say, a lot of these Inside Star Citizens feel like they are like promotional tools, but this is a short one. It's 8 minutes long. We'll watch it here together. Give you guys my just raw live reaction on it, and we'll see where it goes. But fuel injection, this is another one that I feel like may have been something they've been talking about for a while, but I don't know a lot about this. I know you have the Starfarer, you know, the big fueling ship that's been around for longer than I have playing this game, that has been no use. And then you have like the salvage ships, obviously the Reclaimer. There's so many that just... That's why I don't want them to bring out the whole series ships, in all honesty. You know, just don't. It's just... To me, it's like, I don't want to get another ship that I can't use. You can't use the whole series ships right now. It's just pointless. Anyway, let's stop complaining. Let's be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Alright, let's watch this.
The experience we're trying to build with refueling is a bit of an interconnectedness between the players.
It's the first player to
There she
player
is.
trade that we will offer in the game.
What did he just say?
Refueling is another
That we will
The first player trade?
player to player trade
Player to
that
player
we will
trade.
offer in the game.
So here's my thoughts with this already. I'm going to be that guy that pauses it. player-to-player like trade. I love that idea. I hope they make it more needed than just a fun tool, but I don't want it to be like over needed. I mean, I'm being that typical guy right now. It's like, this is what I want. I want it to be perfect, but also like this. But also, you know, it's never going to be exactly how you want it. But, you know, are people actually going to need it? Like, no fuel, please help. I can't remember the last time I ran out of fuel. It's probably during my video when my caterpillar got stuck in the autopilot and I ran out of fuel. But I ran out of fuel when I was landing anyway. But you know what I mean? I've never been out in space and ran out of fuel. So I don't know if it's your fuel's going to drain faster in the future or what have you. But you could also... Pirates could use this. I'm looking way too much into this, but it's something cool to think about. You know, if you're a pirate and you go and steal cargo from caterpillars, what's stopping you from stealing fuel? It's probably going to be expensive, right? So you could be... A starfarer's going to have escorts. Maybe, probably, right? A security detail with them. Because if you're out in space and you're like, hey, let's come out into the middle of nowhere real quick. I've run out of fuel. And then you get this big tanker that comes out. And then they hijack it and steal all the fuel and go sell it. It's an interesting game mechanic. I'm excited for it.
Refueling is another support career that we think is very important for Star Citizen.
And I know this is completely off topic, but it was one of the things they pushed back in the roadmap, which was the NPC taxi missions. I can't wait. As that comes out, I'm going to do an entire stream of just me being a taxi guy going around doing that. I think that's sick. I don't think realistically, other than the roleplay aspect of it, it's ever going to be much of a PvP type thing. Well, you know what I mean. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to need to pick up a real person and take them away somewhere. I think that would just be too much hassle. Because for that to actually happen realistically without the roleplay aspect, that means you can get stranded places. And I think as a player, that could be kind of frustrating. Like, if I would get stranded a lot and have to always call people to come pick me up, I think that could be annoying. But I don't know. Again, I'm being very critical, but I think being critical is a good thing. But yeah, the taxi thing I can't wait for. Anyway, let's focus on this. I get distracted, I'm sorry.
Ships were pretty much able to get fuel out of the thin air, and that was not the goal for all ships. That was supposed to be something very specific to certain ships that have that functionality. Right now, all of the ships that, let's say, are basic fighter ship, they're not going to have that functionality. They will have to rely on someone bringing fuel to them.
A fighter ship has to?
In our first iteration of refueling right now, we sadly don't have the quantum beacon set up yet. So if you run out of fuel, you ask for someone in chat who owns a Starfarer to come by and refuel you. This person with a Starfarer needs to get fuel.
I'm going to be critical again. I just have to, guys, you know? Not critical, but, you know, devil's out. No, devil's out. No, listen. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Well, what if there's no one online that has one? Is there going to be NPCs with them too? Because I think a lot of the ideas for this game is what we all hope it is gonna, and hope and dream that it's gonna be like eventually, especially with server meshing, right? So many people that things like this would work, but having 50 people in the lobby, it's not gonna work because most of the time, you know, everyone's so spread out doing their own thing. But with server meshing and having bigger servers and things like that, you know, this could be more realistic. But yeah, what if there's no one in line? But you know there's going to be people that literally this is all they do. Because this is what they love. Just like me in trading. I could be down for this too, to be honest. It is trading. I would be down to do this. Maybe I'll pick up a Starfarer.
Fuel from any station.
Instead of buying it into the ship's fuel tank, you buy it into the Starfarer's fuel pods, which can be filled either with quantum fuel or hydrogen fuel, depending on
That's cool.
Whatever is the need on the market.
That's cool. I like
we
that.
do this through the current service app that we have updated. So the same.
I mean, they should know just from this that they need to change the UI a little bit. I was watching the Star Citizen live stream they had today, very vaguely, but someone was saying, are you ever going to fix like the heads-up display? Because a lot of the time when you're on planets, you can't see all your markers. You can't see your pip and all of this stuff. And they were like, yeah, we're going to work on it. But even this, I mean, what does this say here? You can't see it because my head's in the way. Like, what does this thing say here? I mean, obviously, it probably says no service required. We can figure that out. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like maybe they should dim the background more. And this is stuff they'll fix. This isn't like, oh my god, this sucks that they're not doing it properly.
That we have updated. So the same way you used to repair and refuel your ships before, now you will have some extra controls that will let you decide what goes inside a fuel tank.
Once you have purchased the fuel and you want to adjust the price that the others have to pay for the fuel that you have in your Starfarer now.
I like the idea of that.
At this point, the refueler player has to fly all the way to where the person is stranded, in the middle of nowhere, and the docking operation can begin.
That's cool. I've never actually seen that.
Docking complete. Engines offline.
Hopefully it's not.
Once they have docked with you, they use the same MobiClass interface to make a request for fuel.
That's cool. Hold the front door! How much were they charging? All of that fuel for 64 UEC? Thanks, I can go buy myself a burger after that long run.
Yeah, we're introducing something called an escrow service that basically takes the money for the transaction and only starts paying it out as the transaction advances. So if for whatever reason you either cancel the transaction or pirates show up and you have to do an emergency undock, there should be no money loss as fuel is paid for as it is.
So yeah, there'll be no money loss. What about the Starfarer though? Can you like siphon out all the fuel?
It's dispensed.
Once the payment request was received on the Starfarer, you have to open the dedicated fuel pods that hold the dedicated fuel for that transfer and activate the nozzle.
You have to remember that the target ship will only take as much fuel as they have actually paid for. So if if somebody has asked for 500 units of quantum, and you open the nozzle at full throttle, and send 2,000 their way, well, then most of that fuel is just gonna spill into space. You're gonna lose it.
That's cool.
And so there's a bit of yes, people want somebody who's very fast and efficient, but don't burn your own fuel.
Yeah, it depends
Once
on how much
the
it's worth,
entire fuel was delivered to the dock ship, the attached ship can undock and both parties can go their way.
It's got to be worth it for both parties. Obviously, if you're stranded in space, you're going to pay more for fuel than you would if you were at some space station, right? So you know you're going to pay more. But you're not going to want to bankrupt yourself. But if you have no other option, and people will just say, self-destruct the ship and go and reclaim it. And that's the thing I think they're hopefully trying to go away from. But also the person who's selling it to you, it needs to be worth it. I mean, if this person is traveling the distance in this big, massive, slow ship to fill up your little ship, it's got to be worth it. But here's the other thing with this. Even if you get a really good amount of money from this, let's say it takes an hour to make X amount of money doing a trade. And in this, it would take X amount. I just don't see it being that profitable. Are you going to charge them like 50 grand to fill up their ship? Maybe that's reasonable. Because they're in the middle of nowhere, they have no other option, and it needs to be worth it. I know I'm being so hard on this. I'm just trying to be realistic, okay? I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer and complain about it. I'm just trying to be realistic. Because how often is this actually going to happen as well? Because if you're like, okay, I'm going to be a refueler. I'm going to, be a service ship and go and refuel people in my Starfarer. How many times a day do you think, let's say you play for 3 hours. Let's say realistic, someone, they play for 3 hours a day and they want to drive around the Starfarer. How many times are they actually going to get called? I feel like the majority of the time they're just going to be sitting around waiting. I can't imagine it's going to be that often. I think in a real life scenario, this stuff is awesome, and that's why they put it in the game, because it makes it such a detailed sim, right? But in a video game sense, it's like, okay, but we don't really... I love the idea of it, but it doesn't really get used that much. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. I'm 100% for this, and I love this gameplay. Maybe the way I would look at it, though, wouldn't necessarily be randoms in the verse. It would be more so this would be good for an org, right? My goal and dreams has always been to have, like, you know, a javelin or something that's like the hub. And people, all the org, everyone in the org logs in and logs out, like on the javelin, right? And then next to the javelin, you could have like a the Polaris, and maybe a you know, you'll have the Kraken ship there too. You'll have Idris, all of these ships. There would be a fleet that would just travel around the verse, not just in Stanton, but all over. This is my goal, right? This is why I love the game, and you know, can't wait for it to be more developed. But I think for that, and obviously you'd have fighters around your ships too. I think that's where this would be sick. If you were somebody that wants this gameplay, it wouldn't necessarily, you'd be sitting around all day waiting for someone to ask to be refueled. But if you were part of a bigger org and you were following a fleet, that's where I think this would be sick. Because then you could just continuously refuel the fleet. So you could travel, you know, all over the verse, and your fleet would always be fueled. That's where I think this would be sick.
Right now we are still iterating a lot over the UI parts. What we don't want to do is throw all...
At the same time, would you pay people? I guess you would, because each member of the org would have their own money, right? They've made their own money somehow. But also, at the end of the day, when it gets to that point and you have this massive org, the org would probably be the ones paying the people in the org, right? Because you'd be paying the escorts, you'd be paying the captains of the ships to, you know, be there. You'd be paying the fighters, you'd be paying the refuel guy. So I guess, yeah, you'd be paying the refuel guy. Maybe they'd fill up the ships themselves, and then, you know, the person who owns it can charge people for the fuel. But I think at some point it's going to be the org will pay the org members, because for the most part, you can do your own thing obviously as well. It's not like a cult. But I mean, you can, you know, if you're a fighter pilot or you're an escort fighter, how are you going to make money if the org's not paying you to be an escort for, you know, in the org, right? Because you're literally going to be following around capital ships all day and trading ships. Like, you know, how's the org going to make money? You're going to have dozens of hulls, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like, you know what I mean? And you're going to have fighters that are having to escort all of those hull ships all over the verse, which is what's going to make the money. And then at that point, you're going to have the Pioneer, so you're going to be able to build bases and things scattered around the verse where you can have, you know, or compounds, right? You can have these big, massive headquarters and stuff like that. I think, I'm getting way off track right now, but this is the stuff that I'm passionate about with this game. I think you can, you know, with trading, you can go to a different system and buy like 100 million UEC worth of whatever it is. Let's say diamond, for example. It's really cheap all the way over there. We'll buy it when it's cheap. We don't need it. We'll take it to a moon or a planet where we have our own outpost, like factory or warehouse. You can land there, unload it all into this warehouse, and just keep it there until the price of diamonds skyrockets and there's demand for it. Then you can load up, you know, your caterpillars, which will then take it up to the Hull series ships, and then you can go and sell that stuff. That's what I love. The Pioneer. Imagine being able to build your own like MLTC bases all over the verse, and then you can buy like turrets and things that you can place down there to defend it. You know, you can have these places manned 24/7 because we have people all over the world in the org. The same with the ships. You know, if you're the captain of the Javelin, it may not be your ship, but you're the captain between, you know, let's say you're captain for 3 hours. And then after that, somebody else takes over and they captain the ship for 3 hours, and then so on and so forth. So 24/7, you have this fleet of MLTC all over the verse that's constantly manned. That's my goal. I got so sidetracked, but I get so excited about that. That's the future that I want to see.
All the data directly in your face. It should all be readable and accessible for all the players.
As we keep delving further and further
Beautiful,
into
look at that.
other solar systems, we do not want to create this gamey thing where there's always fuel for everything. There's always everything you need.
You might end up in systems where there is nothing.
That's okay. That answered my question. And that's actually a really cool, super brilliant answer to what I was saying. Yes. You may end up in a system that has nothing. Maybe you're there mining because it has some really good high demand materials that you need, and you run out of fuel there and there's literally nothing. That's when this would be perfect. You're right.
There is no civilization at all. There are no stations. There are not even people.
There needs to be that scarcity of resources, and if you want to get a major endeavor going, you have to think of all the logistics of it, and fuel is one big part of that.
Refueling is the next major
go.
milestone for life in the persistent universe, and is making its long-awaited debut in Star Citizen's upcoming Alpha 317 release as we continue our journey towards Pyro throughout this year.
Is it though? I don't know. Is refueling coming? Please tell me they didn't push this back and then release this the next day. I hope not. I can't wait for Pyro too.
And up next, a new way to traverse the surface of any planet or moon. Let's find out more about the recently revealed hover quad from Consolidated Outland. Yeah, they can't buzz me now because everybody already knows.
The hover quad is, what do I want to say?
It is an all-terrain vehicle.
I've forgotten the word I want to use. Exactly what it sounds like.
Legitness. Yeah, what did he say? Sorry.
So this is quite a bit different.
All-terrain vehicle.
I've forgotten the word I want to use. Exactly what it sounds like.
Hovers.
So this is quite a bit different, both visually and philosophically, to a lot of our other ground vehicles.
Our other two Gravlevs, both of which are armed and shielded. The hover quad has neither. It's much more focused on the ability to travel across the surface of the planet rather than start fights or bring a friend along.
It's got an inventory on board, so anything small you find you can put on board.
Really small, like an apple. Yeah, you put a gun in there.
Because it's got a wider wheelbase.
You put 10 guns
so to
in there.
speak, or bigger Gravlevs.
It is
it's
bigger.
able
I mean, that
to
one gun took up
account for
11%.
those changing variables over a rocky surface. Whereas something like the Nox, yes, it can go like a bullet in a straight line, but if it catches something the wrong way, it's going to lose stability a lot quicker than the hover quad's going to.
I can't wait for this. MLTC race anyone?
It's something we've actually had in the pipeline for quite a while. Just
Shocker.
a nice little add-on that we did as part of the Consolidated Outlands Nomad concept development.
The original concept for the Nomad was designed with the hover quad in the back. So that was one of the big concerns we had when developing the vehicles, to make sure that it could in fact fit in the back and you can drive it in the back.
I owned that ship, but I owned it in game, so I don't think I own it anymore. I don't know. I'll have to look. I don't think I own it really.
A good sort of use case for this is you've landed on a planet in your parent vehicle, but for whatever reason you do not want to carry on in that vehicle, or the place you want to actually go is just too compact. Maybe
That'd be
down
cool
a
if you could
cave,
start driving through
so you
caves with it.
need something to transport
Thing is, most caves have they're like a maze, and you have to crawl through spaces. So I don't know. Maybe they make bigger caves.
you to your destination.
This kind of gives you the ability to really enjoy and feel the environment more than you would when you're 6,000 feet above it, you know? You're right there, you're down at the base, and you can...
I like that you
see
can
and
ride over these
smell
freaking
everything
rocks,
around you.
man. This will make racing so much
What did we
fun.
learn this week? Well, we learned that refueling brings with it a new journey towards additional support mechanics in Star Citizen's persistent universe. That it's time to dust off your Starfare ahead of the next big race like the Stand-in 7 or the Daymar Rally. And that the Hover Quad is here to expand the universe's Gravlev offerings. Now, don't forget that Xenothreat is returning. Check out the recently published This Month in Star Citizen post on the RobertSpaceIndustries.com website for details on everything that's happening in February. And tune into Twitch tomorrow to see Director of Graphics Engineering Ali Brown discuss all things graphical on Star Citizen Live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific.
If you like that sort of stuff,
we're inside Star Citizen. I'm Jared Huckabee. We'll see you all next week.
All right. So, what did we learn here today? I mean, that was actually stretched out a little bit too. Oh God, what have I gone and done here now? Professional at work, ladies and gentlemen. No, that was cool. I actually enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to, because I was like, it doesn't really interest me that much. But it turns out it does. Turns out it's actually a really cool little mechanic. They say it's coming 317. You guys know more than I do. If that's, I'm pretty sure it's in the PTU, right? Well, the Gravlev thing. I can't wait to race that thing around, to be honest with you. It's not going to be right now, but maybe we'll do it when it comes out. We'll see. But that was cool. Sorry, I went on a tangent there about what it is that I'm looking forward to in the game with the whole org thing. And that is truly, I've been saying that for years. That's like my main goal. But yeah, I can't wait for stuff like that. But that was interesting. I like it. I like the refueling. I like that they answered the questions about, you know, it's going to be more maybe useful on a system where there's nothing, where maybe you're a mining ship, you know, and there's literally just you there, and it's full of cargo, and you don't want to, you can't self-destruct that, right? You can't blow it up and go claim it. It's got a lot of stuff on it. You're going to have to call somebody out. That's cool. Because I don't think realistically it's going to happen. You're not going to be one of these people and get called every 5 minutes. Hey, I need fuel. Hey, I need fuel. You know, it's going to be very unique situations like that. Or, like I said, if you're a big org, you need to have this refueling ship next to you so you can fuel your ships, fuel your fleet. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you understood the little, not rant, I was just kind of talking at the beginning of this video. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions on that in the comment section down below. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for hanging out. If you did enjoy, hit the little like button, subscribe if you're new, turn on the little ding dong notification to know when I upload videos. If you want to help support the channel even further, you can do this thing right here, become a member. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, thank you guys. I will see you guys tomorrow with a brand new video. Bye!